A homeless 19-year-old cuts through plastic zip ties with a piece of broken glass. His hands are shaking. Blood runs down the girl's wrists and drips onto his fingers. She has been tied to a steel beam for 3 days. Her blonde hair is matted with dried blood. Her blue eyes lock onto his face with desperate hope. She whispers one sentence that stops his heart cold. "They're coming back to kill me at sunrise." Sunrise is 4 hours away, and Ethan Cole has to make a choice that will change everything. But why would 197 of the most dangerous bikers in Oregon bow down to a broke teenager with nothing to his name? If you want to see how this incredible story ends, subscribe to our channel and follow along until the very last moment. Drop a comment telling us which city you're watching from. I want to see how far this story travels. The rain had been falling for 6 hours straight. Ethan Cole felt every drop like a tiny hammer against his skull. He was sitting in his car, a rusted 2003 Toyota Corolla, with a cracked windshield and a heater that stopped working 2 winters ago. The temperature outside was 28 degrees. Inside the car, it felt like 25. His breath came out in white clouds. He could not feel his fingers anymore. His toes had gone numb an hour ago. He pulled his thin jacket tighter around his shoulders, but it did not help. The jacket was meant for autumn weather, not Oregon winter. Ethan was 19 years old. He was a freshman at Portland State University on a partial scholarship. He worked 2 jobs: dishwasher at a diner from 4 in the morning until 8, shelf stocker at a grocery store from midnight until 4. Between jobs and classes, he had maybe 4 hours to sleep. He slept in this car. For 6 weeks now, he had been homeless. The scholarship covered tuition. It did not cover housing. And Ethan had aged out of the foster care system at 18 with nothing. No family, no savings, no safety net, just a garbage bag full of clothes and a social worker who shook his hand and wished him luck. Luck. That was funny. His phone buzzed. The screen was cracked so badly he could barely read it. A text from his manager at the diner. "Don't bother coming in tomorrow. We're cutting hours." Ethan closed his eyes. That job paid for gas. Gas kept him warm enough to survive the nights. Without that money, he would freeze. He thought about his situation. He had $11 in his bank account. His next scholarship check was 2 weeks away. He owned 3 shirts, 2 pairs of jeans, and 1 pair of shoes with holes in the soles. He ate 1 meal a day, whatever the diner threw away at the end of his shift. He was disappearing, day by day, pound by pound, hope by hope. Nobody noticed. Nobody cared. He was invisible. His phone buzzed again. This time it was campus security. "Vehicle patrol tonight. All unauthorized overnight parking will be ticketed and towed." Ethan's stomach dropped. Campus security had been cracking down on students sleeping in their cars. 2 weeks ago, they towed a girl's van. She lost everything she owned. She had to drop out of school. He could not lose this car. It was the only thing standing between him and the street. He had to find somewhere else to sleep tonight. Someone in his sociology class had mentioned abandoned buildings in the old industrial district. Homeless people crash there sometimes. It was dangerous. Drug dealers, gangs, people with nothing left to lose. But it was shelter. It would keep the wind out. It might keep him alive until morning. Ethan started the engine. It coughed twice before catching. The fuel gauge was almost on empty. He had enough gas to get there and back. Maybe. He drove slowly through the rain. The windshield wipers scraped against the glass with a sound like fingernails on a chalkboard. The headlights barely cut through the darkness. Everything was shadows and water and cold. The industrial district was exactly what he expected. Abandoned factories, rusted fences, broken streetlights. The kind of place where bad things happen to good people. The kind of place where nobody would hear you scream. Ethan parked behind an old warehouse. He sat in the car for a long moment, listening. The rain drummed on the roof. Somewhere in the distance, a dog barked. Nothing else. He grabbed his phone. 15% battery. The flashlight would drain it fast, but he had no choice. He stepped out into the rain. The cold hit him like a fist. His teeth started chattering immediately. He walked toward the warehouse, his shoes squelching in the mud. There was a door hanging off its hinges. He pushed it open. The smell hit him first. Copper, like pennies left in water. Sweat, like dirty clothes left in a gym bag for weeks. And something else. Something that made the hair on the back of his neck stand up. Something that made his stomach twist into a knot. Fear. Fear had a smell. He learned that in the foster homes. When bad things were about to happen, the air itself changed. It got thick, heavy, wrong. This place was wrong. Ethan swept his phone flashlight across the room. Broken glass on the floor, an overturned table, graffiti on the walls, normal abandoned building stuff. And then the light found her. His heart stopped. She was tied to a steel beam in the center of the room. Her hands were behind her back, bound with thick plastic zip ties. The ties had cut into her wrists so deep that blood was running down her arms and dripping onto the concrete floor. Her mouth was covered with silver duct tape. Her blonde hair was tangled and matted with something dark. Blood. It was blood. She was looking right at him. Her eyes were blue, bright blue, like the sky on a summer day. But there was nothing peaceful in those eyes. They were wild, terrified, desperate, like an animal caught in a trap. She tried to scream, but the tape turned it into a muffled sound that went straight into Ethan's bones. He did not think. He ran to her. "Oh God, oh God, oh God!" His voice came out high and strange. His hands were shaking so badly he could barely control them. He reached for the tape on her mouth. His fingers fumbled at the edge. He found a corner and ripped it off. She gasped. The sound was like someone coming up from underwater. Her chest heaved. She sucked in air like she had been drowning. "Who did this?" Ethan's voice was shaking. "Are they still here? Are they coming back?" She looked at him. Despite everything, despite the blood and the fear and the pain, her eyes were fierce. "Get me out." Her voice was rough, damaged, like she had been screaming for hours. "Get me out right now. They're coming back soon." "Who? Who's coming back?" "Just cut me loose, please. We don't have time." Ethan looked around frantically. His phone light bounced off the walls, the floor, the broken furniture. He saw it, a piece of broken glass near the overturned table. Big enough to grip, sharp enough to cut. He grabbed it. The edge bit into his palm, but he did not care. He went to work on the zip ties. The plastic was thick, industrial grade, made to hold. He sawed back and forth, back and forth. The girl made small sounds of pain as the movement jostled her wounded wrists. I'm sorry, I'm trying." "Just keep going, keep going." The first tie snapped, then the second. She pulled her hands forward and cried out. The skin on her wrists was shredded. Blood flowed freely now, dark red in the dim light. She grabbed his arm. Her grip was like iron. "You should not be here." She was breathing hard. "You should not have found me." Her jacket fell open. Underneath, she was wearing a black leather vest. Even in the darkness, Ethan could see the patches sewn onto it. Wings, a skull, and words stitched in red thread. Property of Hell's Angels. The blood drained from Ethan's face. He knew what that meant. Everyone knew what that meant. The Hell's Angels were the most feared motorcycle club in the Pacific Northwest. They ran guns. They ran drugs. They destroyed anyone who crossed them. People whispered their name like a curse. And this girl belonged to them. "You're with them." It was not a question. She spat on the floor. There was blood in her spit. "My father is. His name is Stone. He runs the whole Portland chapter. 197 members." "Then who did this to you?" "The Iron Vipers, rival club. They've been trying to push into Portland for 2 years. My father wouldn't let them. So they took me 3 days ago. They're going to trade me for territory. Your father will pay. He'll negotiate. She laughed. It was a terrible sound, bitter and broken. You don't know my father. Stone doesn't negotiate. Stone doesn't bend. Stone would let me die before he showed weakness to his enemies. Ethan felt sick. Then why take you? Because they think they can break him. They think if they hurt me enough, send him enough pieces of me, he'll give in. She looked at her bloody wrists. They've been sending photos, videos. They think eventually he'll crack. Will he? No. Her voice was flat, final. He won't. And in 4 hours, when he hasn't responded to their final ultimatum, they're going to kill me. Ethan's phone buzzed in his hand. He looked down. Battery at 10%. The flashlight was eating through what little power he had left. He could feel the choice in front of him. It was heavy, solid, like a stone sitting on his chest. He could leave. Right now. Walk out that door. Go back to his car. Pretend he never saw this. College kids did not get involved with biker gangs. That was how you ended up in a shallow grave somewhere. But she was looking at him. Blood was still running down her arms, and he thought about all the times nobody helped him. All the foster parents who looked away when the older kids beat him. All the teachers who pretended not to notice the bruises. All the social workers who filed their reports and forgot he existed. He thought about who he was. A homeless kid with $11 to his name. Invisible. Worthless. Nothing. And he thought about who he wanted to be. What's your name? He asked. She blinked, like she had not expected the question. Madison. Maddie. I'm Ethan. Can you walk, Madison? I don't know. My legs have been tied for 3 days. I can't feel them properly. Then I'll carry you. We're getting out of here. Something changed in her eyes. The fierceness was still there, but now there was something else underneath it. Something that looked almost like hope. Why? She whispered. Why would you help me? You don't know me. You could die for this. Ethan thought about the question. He thought about his whole life, the foster homes, the group homes, the system that threw him away like garbage, the world that treated him like he did not exist. Because someone should have helped me once, he said quietly. No one did. I'm not going to be that person. I'm not going to walk away. Madison stared at him for a long moment. Then she nodded. Okay, help me up. Ethan pulled her to her feet. Her legs buckled immediately. She cried out in pain as the blood rushed back into her muscles. He caught her before she fell, slinging her arm over his shoulders. Easy, I've got you. One step at a time. They moved toward the door. She was heavy against him. Her whole body was shaking, but she was trying. God, she was trying. They made it 3 steps before Ethan heard it. Engines, motorcycles. The sound started low, like distant thunder. Then it grew, louder, closer. Madison's whole body went rigid. They're early, she breathed. They weren't supposed to come back until morning. Ethan's heart was pounding so hard, he could feel it in his throat. How many? Usually 3, sometimes 4. They rotate shifts. 3 or 4 armed bikers versus 1 skinny homeless kid and a girl who could barely walk. The math was not good. Is there a back way out? I don't know. They kept me blindfolded when they brought me in. The engine sounds were getting closer. Headlights swept across the broken windows. They were running out of time. Ethan made a decision. He half-carried, half-dragged Madison deeper into the warehouse. There had to be another exit. There had to be. They stumbled through a doorway into another room, then another. Ethan's phone light was getting dimmer as the battery died. The building was a maze of rusted equipment and collapsed ceiling tiles and shadows that could hide anything. He heard voices behind them now, angry voices. She's gone. The little witch is gone. Check everywhere. She can't have gotten far. Find whoever cut her loose. I want them alive. Ethan's breath was coming in ragged gasps. Madison was barely conscious, her head lolling against his shoulder. The blood loss was catching up to her. The 3 days without food or water were catching up to her. She was fading. "Stay with me," he whispered urgently. "Madison, stay with me." "Tired," she mumbled. "So tired." I know, but you can't sleep yet. We have to keep moving." He found a door. A real door, not just a doorway. He pushed against it. It did not move. Rusted shut. He pushed harder. Nothing. Footsteps were getting closer. Ethan looked around desperately. There. A window. Small, but maybe big enough to squeeze through. He dragged Madison toward it. The glass was broken out already. He lifted her up. "Climb through. I'll push you." She tried. Her arms had no strength. She slipped, cutting her forearm on the jagged glass, still stuck in the frame. "I can't, Ethan. I can't." "Yes, you can. Madison, look at me." He grabbed her face with both hands. Her eyes were unfocused, but they found his. "I did not cut you loose and drag you this far to watch you die. You are going through that window. You are going to survive this. Do you understand me?" Something sparked in her eyes. A flame that had almost gone out flickered back to life. "Okay," she whispered. "Okay." He boosted her up again. This time she grabbed the window frame and pulled. He pushed from below. She scraped through the opening and tumbled onto the ground outside. Ethan was right behind her. He jumped, grabbed the frame, hauled himself up. The broken glass tore his jacket, his shirt, his skin. He did not care. He squeezed through and fell into the mud beside her. The rain was still falling, cold, relentless, but they were outside. They were free of the building. Come on, we have to move." He pulled Madison to her feet again. They staggered away from the warehouse, into the maze of abandoned buildings and rusted machinery. Behind them, he heard the bikers discover the window. "They went this way. Move!" Ethan ran, half running, half dragging Madison. His lungs burned. His legs screamed, but he did not stop. They rounded a corner, another building. He found an open doorway and pulled Madison inside. They pressed against the wall, trying to quiet their breathing. Footsteps outside, flashlight beams cutting through the darkness. The bikers were searching. Madison was shaking uncontrollably. Ethan put his hand over her mouth, terrified she would make a sound. Her eyes met his, wide, scared, trusting him. A homeless kid with nothing, and she was trusting him to save her life. The footsteps came closer, closer. Ethan could see a shadow passing by the doorway. The beam of a flashlight swept toward them. He held his breath. The light passed over the doorway, did not stop. The footsteps continued on. They waited. 1 minute, 2, 3. "Okay," Ethan finally whispered. "Okay, I think they passed us." Madison slumped against him. "You're either the bravest person I've ever met or the dumbest." "Probably both." He almost laughed. "Almost. Can you tell me where we are? How far to somewhere safe?" "I don't know. I told you they blindfolded me. But if we can get to a phone, I can call for help. There's a number, a code. It brings every Hell's Angel within 100 miles. My phone's dead. Then we find another phone, a gas station, a store, anything." Ethan nodded. "Okay, let me check outside." He crept to the doorway and peered out. The rain was still falling. He could see flashlight beams in the distance, but they were moving away. The bikers were searching in the wrong direction. He turned back to Madison. "I think we have a window. Can you walk better now?" She tested her legs, winced. "Not well, but better than before." "Good enough. Let's move." They slipped out of the building and moved through the industrial district. Ethan kept to the shadows, supporting Madison whenever she stumbled. His whole body was screaming with exhaustion. He had not slept more than 4 hours in days. He had not eaten since yesterday morning, but adrenaline was keeping him upright. Adrenaline and something else. Something he had not felt in a long time. Purpose. They walked for what felt like hours. In reality, it was probably 20 minutes. They came to a fence, chain link, topped with barbed wire. "Can you climb?" Ethan asked. Madison looked at her shredded wrists, at her trembling legs. "No." Ethan studied the fence. At the bottom there was a gap where the chain link had rusted away from the post. Small. Too small. "Wait here." He dropped to his knees and started digging. The ground was soft from the rain. Mud got under his fingernails, into his cuts. He did not care. He dug until the gap was big enough for a person to squeeze through. "Okay, you first." He helped Madison onto her stomach. She crawled under the fence, gasping with pain every time her wounded wrist touched the ground. But she made it through. Ethan followed. The barbed wire caught his jacket and tore a long strip from the back. He left it hanging on the fence like a flag, like evidence. He did not care. They were out of the industrial district now. He could see streetlights ahead, and beyond them, the glow of a gas station sign. "There," he said, "a phone. We can call for help." Madison grabbed his arm. "Ethan, wait!" He turned. She was looking at him with an expression he could not read. "If you do this, if you help me call my father's people, there's no going back. The Iron Vipers will know your face. They'll find out who you are. They'll never stop hunting you." Ethan thought about his car, his $11, his one meal a day, and his part-time jobs, and his cracked phone, and his invisible life. "I don't have much to lose," he said quietly. "Everyone has something to lose." "Then I'll risk it." She stared at him. For a long moment she did not speak. Then slowly she nodded. "You're not nothing," she said. "I don't know who told you that, but they were wrong." Ethan did not know what to say to that, so he just put his arm around her shoulders and helped her toward the gas station. They were 50 feet away when the headlights appeared behind them. A motorcycle, engine roaring. The Iron Vipers had found them. Madison screamed something, but Ethan could not hear her over the sound of his own heartbeat pounding in his ears. He pushed her toward the gas station. "Run! Get inside! Make the call!" "I won't leave you. You have to. Go!" She stumbled forward. Ethan turned to face the motorcycle. One bike, one rider. Better odds than three. The rider jumped off the motorcycle before it even stopped moving. He was huge, 6'4" at least, arms like tree trunks, face twisted with rage. "Thought you could run, did you?" The biker's voice was like gravel. "Thought you could take what's ours." Ethan raised his fists. They were shaking. His whole body was shaking. "She doesn't belong to you." The biker laughed. It was an ugly sound. "Kid, you have no idea what you just stepped into. You have no idea who you just made an enemy of." "I know exactly who you are, and I don't care." The biker's smile vanished. "Then you're even dumber than you look," he charged. Ethan had been in fights before. Foster care taught you that. But those were scraps with other kids. This was a 250-pound man throwing punches that could break bones. The first hit caught Ethan in the ribs. He felt something crack. Pain exploded through his chest. He doubled over, gasping. The second hit was to his face. The world went white, then red, then spinning. He fell. The ground was cold and wet and hard. The biker grabbed him by the collar and lifted him up. "Where is she? Where did she go?" Ethan spat blood in his face. The biker roared and threw him down, started kicking. Ethan curled into a ball, trying to protect his head, his ribs, his organs. Each kick was like a bomb going off inside him. "I'm gonna kill you, kid. I'm gonna kill you slow." But Ethan was smiling, because through the pain, through the blood in his eyes, he could see Madison. She had made it to the gas station. She was inside. She was on the phone. He had done it. The biker drew back for another kick. And then the world changed. It started as a rumble, low, distant, like thunder from somewhere far away. But it grew, louder, deeper. The ground itself started to vibrate. The biker froze. Ethan managed to lift his head, and what he saw made his breath catch in his throat. Headlights. Dozens of them, then scores, then hundreds, coming from every direction. Motorcycles. An ocean of motorcycles. The roar of their engines was deafening. It drowned out the rain, the wind, everything. They poured into the gas station parking lot like a flood. Black leather, chrome, and steel. The skull and wings patches of the Hells Angels on every single back. The biker standing over Ethan went pale. "No," he whispered. "No, it's not possible. How did they—" He did not finish the sentence. 4 Hells Angels tackled him and dragged him to the ground. His screams mixed with the thunder of engines. Ethan lay in the mud, broken ribs, bleeding face, barely conscious. He had done something impossible tonight, something that should have gotten him killed. He had saved a stranger's life just because it was the right thing to do. And as the world went dark around him, as 197 motorcycles formed a wall of leather and steel, the last thing he heard was a voice. A deep voice, a voice that sounded like gravel and smoke and thunder. "Where is he? Where is the one who saved my daughter?" Then everything went black. Ethan heard voices before he could open his eyes. They were distant at first, like sounds traveling through water. Then they got closer, sharper. "He's breathing. Barely. Look at his face. They beat him half to death. Kid's got guts. Stupid guts, but guts." Ethan tried to move. Pain exploded through his entire body. His ribs screamed. His face felt like it had been used as a punching bag, which, he realized, it had. "Easy, kid, easy. Don't move yet." A hand pressed against his shoulder, gentle but firm. Ethan forced his eyes open. The world was blurry. Shapes moved above him. Leather, beards, tattoos. "Where?" His voice came out as a croak. "Where is she?" "She's safe. You got her out. You did good." Ethan tried to sit up. The pain made him cry out. Someone grabbed him under the arms and lifted him to a sitting position. The world spun. "Madison," he managed to say, "I need to see her. You need to not die first. Hold still." Hands probed his ribs. He hissed through his teeth. 2 broken, maybe 3. Nothing punctured, though. Lucky. Lucky. That was the second time someone had used that word about him. It did not feel like luck. "Get him on his feet, carefully. Stone wants to see him." 2 men lifted Ethan like he weighed nothing. They held him up when his legs tried to buckle. He looked around and his breath caught. Motorcycles. Everywhere he looked, motorcycles. They filled the gas station parking lot and spilled out onto the road. The riders stood in groups, talking in low voices, their breath making clouds in the cold air. Every single one of them wore the same patches. Skull, wings, Hell's Angels. 197 of them. The number kept echoing in Ethan's head. He had never seen so many bikers in one place, and they were all looking at him. "Walk," said the man on his left, Stone's waiting. They half carried him through the crowd. The bikers parted to let them pass. Eyes followed Ethan. Hard eyes. Curious eyes. Evaluating eyes. Nobody spoke. The silence was almost worse than the staring. Then he saw her. Madison was sitting on the tailgate of a truck. Someone had wrapped her wrists in white gauze. Someone else had given her a jacket. She looked up as Ethan approached. Their eyes met. She was alive. Despite everything, despite the blood and the fear and the men who wanted to kill her, she was alive. Because of him. Madison opened her mouth to say something, but a voice cut through the silence like a knife. "That him?" Ethan turned, and his heart nearly stopped. The man walking toward him was enormous. 6'4", maybe 6'5". 250 pounds of muscle and scar tissue. His brown hair was streaked with gray, pulled back into a ponytail. His beard reached his chest. Tattoos covered both arms, disappearing under his leather vest. But it was his eyes that made Ethan's blood run cold. They were gray, pale gray, like storm clouds before a tornado, and they were locked onto Ethan with an intensity that made him want to run. This was Jackson Stone Reyes, president of the Hells Angels Portland chapter, the most dangerous man in Oregon, and he was standing 3 feet away. "You the one who found my daughter?" Stone's voice was quiet. That was somehow worse than if he had been yelling. Quiet voices meant control. Control meant danger. Ethan nodded. He did not trust his voice. Stone took another step closer. "You cut her loose?" Another nod. "You got her out of that building?" "Yes, sir." Stone's eyes narrowed slightly. "Sir. Nobody's called me sir in 20 years. He looked Ethan up and down, taking in the muddy clothes, the blood on his face, the way he could barely stand. "What's your name, kid?" "Ethan. Ethan Cole." "How old are you, Ethan Cole?" 19. Something flickered in Stone's eyes. It was gone too fast for Ethan to read. 19. And you decided to take on the Iron Vipers by yourself. You decided to rescue a girl you'd never met. You decided to risk your life for a stranger. Ethan did not know what to say to that, so he said nothing. Stone circled him slowly, like a predator evaluating prey. "My daughter tells me you were looking for a place to sleep, that you're homeless, living in your car." "Yes." "That true?" "Yes." Stone stopped in front of him again. "So let me get this straight. You're a broke college kid with nothing to your name. You stumble into a situation that has nothing to do with you. You find a girl tied up and bleeding, and instead of walking away, instead of saving yourself, you cut her loose and got her out." "Yes." "Why?" The question hung in the air. Ethan felt 197 pairs of eyes boring into him. He felt Madison watching from the truck. He felt the weight of the moment pressing down on him. Because it was the right thing to do. Stone stared at him. The silence stretched on and on. Ethan's broken ribs screamed. His legs trembled, but he held Stone's gaze. Finally, Stone spoke again. "The right thing to do." He said the words slowly, like he was tasting them. "When's the last time you ate, kid?" The question caught Ethan off guard. "What?" "Food. When did you last eat?" Ethan had to think. "Yesterday morning, maybe the day before." Stone's jaw tightened. "And before that?" "I eat once a day, whatever the diner throws out." "You live in your car?" "Yes." "No family?" "No." "Foster care?" Ethan's throat tightened. "I aged out at 18. Stone nodded slowly. Something in his expression changed. The predator was still there, but now there was something else underneath it. Something that looked almost like recognition. "I aged out too," Stone said quietly. "Long time ago. Different state. Same story." He paused. "Nobody helped me either." Ethan did not know what to say. Stone turned to his men. "Get him food, water, medical attention." He looked back at Ethan. "You and I are going to have a longer conversation. But first, you're going to let my people take care of you. Understand?" Ethan nodded. "Good." Stone started to walk away, then stopped. "Ethan." "Yeah?" "What you did tonight, I won't forget it. Ever." Then he was gone, swallowed by the crowd of bikers. Ethan's legs finally gave out. The men holding him lowered him onto the curb. Someone pressed a bottle of water into his hands. Someone else appeared with a first aid kit. Madison limped over. She sat down next to him, close enough that their shoulders almost touched. "You okay?" she asked. Ethan laughed. It hurt his ribs. "I've been better. You got beat up pretty bad. You should see the other guy." Madison smiled. It transformed her whole face, made her look younger, less haunted. "I did see him. My dad's guys have him now." Ethan's smile faded. "What's going to happen to him?" "Don't ask questions you don't want answered." He nodded. She was right. Some things were better left unknown. "My dad likes you," Madison said. "That's rare. He doesn't like anyone. I couldn't tell. Trust me, if he didn't like you, you'd know. She paused. He recognized something in you. I saw it in his face. What do you mean? He grew up like you. Foster care, streets, nothing and nobody. He built everything he has from scratch. Madison looked at her bandaged wrists. He always says the system throws kids away like garbage, treats them like they don't exist, like they don't matter. Ethan felt something tighten in his chest. That's pretty much accurate. That's why he noticed you. You're the kind of kid the world ignores, and you did something the world never expected. A biker approached with a sandwich wrapped in plastic and a cup of steaming coffee. Boss says eat. Ethan took the food. His hands were shaking. He could not remember the last time someone had given him a hot meal without him having to work for it first. Thank you. The biker grunted and walked away. Madison watched Ethan eat. He tried to go slow, but his body took over. He devoured the sandwich in less than a minute. The coffee burned his tongue, but he did not care. Warmth spread through his chest. Better? Madison asked. Yeah, a lot better. Good, because things are about to get complicated. Ethan looked at her. What do you mean? Before Madison could answer, a commotion broke out near the edge of the parking lot. Shouts, engines revving. The crowd of bikers shifted, their attention snapping toward the disturbance. Stone's voice cut through the noise. Bring them here. Ethan watched as 3 men were dragged through the crowd. They were bruised and bloody, their hands zip-tied behind their backs. Iron Vipers. The 3 who had been hunting Madison, including the one who had beaten Ethan half to death. The bikers threw them onto the ground in front of Stone. One of the Vipers tried to get up. A boot to his back put him back down. Well, well, Stone said. His voice was calm, almost pleasant. That made it terrifying. Look what we have here. The biggest Viper, the one who had attacked Ethan, raised his head. Stone, listen, this was just business, nothing personal. We were just following orders. Orders? Stone crouched down so he was eye level with the man. Someone ordered you to take my daughter, to tie her up for 3 days, to beat her, to cut her. We didn't hurt her that bad. We just needed leverage. We were going to let her go after. Stone grabbed the man's face, just grabbed it, like a vice. The Viper let out a choked sound. You were going to kill her, Stone said. At sunrise, that's what she told me. That's what you told her. We were bluffing. We would never. Stop talking. The Viper stopped. Stone stood up. He walked a slow circle around the 3 men. The crowd was dead silent. Even the motorcycle engines had been cut. The only sound was the rain, still falling, and the Viper's ragged breathing. I have a rule, Stone said. One rule that everyone in this state knows. You don't touch my family, ever, for any reason. You don't look at them. You don't think about them. You certainly don't kidnap them and hold them for ransom. Stone, please. I wasn't finished. Stone's voice was ice. My daughter was in that warehouse for 3 days. 3 days of fear. 3 days of pain. 3 days of wondering if her father would save her or let her die. He stopped in front of the biggest Viper. You did that. You and your friends. You made my daughter afraid. It wasn't my idea. It was our president. He ordered the whole thing. We were just following orders. You said that already. Stone nodded to his men. Pick him up. 2 bikers hauled the Viper to his feet. He was shaking violently now. All the bravado was gone. He looked like what he was, a man who had made a terrible mistake and was about to pay for it. My daughter is alive, Stone said. Do you know why? The Viper shook his head. Stone pointed at Ethan. Because of that kid, that homeless, broke, nobody kid. He found her. He cut her loose. He got her out. He took a beating that should have killed him so she could make it to a phone. The Viper looked at Ethan. For a moment, something like confusion crossed his face, like he could not understand how this scrawny teenager had ruined everything. That kid showed more courage in one night than you've shown in your whole life, Stone continued. He had nothing to gain and everything to lose, and he still did the right thing. Stone leaned close to the Viper's ear. Whatever he whispered, Ethan could not hear. But the Viper's face went white. All the blood drained out of it. "Take them," Stone said. The Vipers started screaming, begging, making promises they could not keep. The Hell's Angels dragged them toward a van parked at the edge of the lot. Their voices got fainter and fainter until they were gone. Madison had not moved. Her face was expressionless. "Are they going to kill them?" Ethan asked quietly. "No," she said. "Death would be too quick." Ethan did not ask what that meant. Stone walked back toward them. The crowd parted for him like water around a rock. He stopped in front of Ethan. "How are the ribs?" "Hurts to breathe. Broken ribs always do. Nothing to be done about it but wait." Stone looked at him for a long moment. "You got a place to stay tonight?" Ethan almost laughed. "I have a car with no heat, same as every night." "Not anymore." Stone reached into his pocket and pulled out a phone. He dialed a number, waited. "It's me. I need the guest house opened up. Tonight. We'll be there in an hour." He hung up without waiting for a response. "Guest house?" Ethan repeated. "You're coming with us. No arguments." "I don't understand." Stone sighed. It was a heavy sound. Tired. "Kid, you saved my daughter's life. You think I'm going to let you go back to sleeping in your car? What kind of man would that make me? I don't need charity. I just did what anyone would." "No." Stone's voice was sharp. "No, that's where you're wrong. Most people wouldn't have done a damn thing. Most people would have walked right out that door and pretended they never saw her. Most people care about themselves and nobody else." He took a step closer. "You're not most people. I don't know why. I don't know what made you different, but you are, and I pay my debts." Ethan did not know what to say. His whole life, nobody had ever offered him anything without expecting something in return. Nobody had ever looked at him and seen anything worth investing in. "What's the catch?" he asked. Stone's expression softened slightly. "There's no catch. You helped my family. Now you're family. That's how this works. I'm not a biker." "I didn't say you have to be. I said you're family. That means you're under our protection. Anyone who touches you answers to us. Anyone who hurts you dies." Madison stood up and walked over to stand beside her father. "It also means you'll have a roof over your head, food in your stomach, help with school if you want it." She smiled. "Consider it a thank you." Ethan looked at them. Father and daughter. The most dangerous man in Oregon and the girl he had saved. They were offering him everything he had never had. Stability, security, family. It felt like a trap. It felt too good to be true. But Madison's eyes were sincere, and Stone's eyes, beneath all that hardness, held something that looked almost like kindness. "Okay," Ethan said quietly. "Okay." Stone nodded. "Good. Let's move out." The bikers began mounting their motorcycles. Engines roared to life. The sound was overwhelming, like standing in the middle of a thunderstorm. Someone guided Ethan toward a truck. Madison climbed in beside him. Stone got on his bike at the front of the formation. As they pulled out of the gas station, Ethan looked back. Dawn was breaking over the mountains, painting the sky in shades of orange and gold. The rain had finally stopped. For the first time in weeks, he could see stars. He had walked into that warehouse looking for a place to sleep. He had found something else entirely. He had found a chance. The convoy of motorcycles stretched out behind them, an army of leather and steel. 197 men who had bowed to him. 197 men who now considered him family. Ethan closed his eyes. His ribs still ached. His face still throbbed. But somewhere deep in his chest, in a place that had been cold for a very long time, he felt something warm begin to glow. Hope. That was what it was. He had almost forgotten what it felt like. The truck wound through the mountains as the sun rose higher. Madison fell asleep against his shoulder, her breathing slow and even. The events of the night had finally caught up with her. Ethan did not sleep. He watched the scenery pass and tried to process everything that had happened. 12 hours ago, he was a nobody, a homeless kid that the world had thrown away. Now he was something else. He did not know what yet, but it was different. It was new. About an hour later, they turned onto a private road. Trees lined both sides, tall pines that blocked out the sky. The road climbed steadily until they emerged onto a hilltop compound. The Hells Angels clubhouse was not what Ethan had expected. He had imagined something dirty and run down. Instead, he saw a sprawling property with multiple buildings, well-maintained grounds, and security cameras everywhere. Bikers were already there, greeting the arriving convoy. There was an energy in the air, celebration mixed with relief. Their president's daughter was home safe. The truck stopped in front of a smaller building set apart from the main clubhouse. Stone was already there, waiting. "This is the guest house," he said as Ethan climbed out. "It's yours for as long as you need it. Fully furnished, stocked kitchen, everything you need." Ethan stared at the building. It was nicer than any place he had ever lived. Nicer than any foster home. Nicer than the apartment he had shared with 3 other kids when he was 14. "I can't accept this." "You already did." Stone's voice brooked no argument. "Get some sleep. We'll talk more tomorrow." Madison was awake now, being helped out of the truck by some of the other bikers. She looked at Ethan across the compound and raised her hand in a small wave. He waved back. "One more thing," Stone said. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a wad of cash. He pressed it into Ethan's hand. "For food, clothes, whatever you need. Don't argue with me." Ethan looked down at the money. There had to be at least $1,000 there, more money than he had seen in his entire life. "Why?" he asked. "Why are you doing all this?" Stone was quiet for a moment. When he spoke, his voice was different, softer, almost vulnerable. "Because 35 years ago, I was you, 19 years old, nothing to my name, sleeping on the streets, hungry all the time, invisible to everyone." He paused. "Someone helped me back then, gave me a chance when nobody else would. I've been paying that forward ever since." "Who helped you?" "A man named Bull, founder of this chapter. He saw something in me, took me in, taught me everything." Stone's eyes were distant, seeing something far away. "He's dead now, 20 years gone, but I still remember what he said to me the first night." "What did he say?" Stone looked at Ethan, really looked at him. He said, "Kid, the world's going to tell you you're nothing. The world's going to try to break you. But you get to decide who you are. You get to decide what you're worth. And if you make the choice to be something, nobody can take that away from you." Ethan felt tears prick his eyes. He blinked them back. "You made a choice tonight," Stone continued. "You chose to be something when it would have been easier to be nothing. That's rare. That's worth more than all the money in the world." He put his hand on Ethan's shoulder. "Just for a moment. Get some rest. Tomorrow we'll figure out the rest." Then he walked away, joining his men at the main clubhouse. Ethan stood alone in front of the guest house. The sun was fully up now, warm on his face. Birds were singing somewhere in the trees. It felt like a different world from the cold, dark warehouse where this had all begun. He went inside. The guest house was warm and clean and quiet. There was a bed with real sheets, a bathroom with a real shower, a kitchen with real food. Ethan sat down on the bed. The mattress was soft. He could not remember the last time he had slept on something soft. He thought about his car, his $11, his cracked phone and his 1 meal a day, and his invisible life. He thought about Madison's eyes when she saw him in that warehouse. Wild, terrified, hopeful. He thought about Stone's voice. "Your family now." Family. He had never had a family, not a real one. The word felt strange in his mind, like a foreign language he was just beginning to learn. He lay back on the bed. His ribs protested, but he did not care. He closed his eyes. For the first time in 6 weeks, he was warm. He was safe. He was not hungry. For the first time in his whole life, someone had looked at him and seen something worth saving. The tears came then. He did not try to stop them. They rolled down his face and soaked into the pillow. He cried for the scared kid he had been. He cried for all the years of loneliness and hunger and invisibility. He cried for the choice he had made in that warehouse, the choice that could have gotten him killed, but instead had given him everything. And when the tears finally stopped, when his breathing slowed and the exhaustion caught up with him, Ethan Cole fell asleep with something he had never had before: a future. Outside, the Hells Angels compound came to life. Bikers talked about the night's events. Stone retreated to his office to make phone calls. Madison was taken to the medical room to have her wounds properly treated. And somewhere in the mountains, in a location nobody would ever find, 3 Iron Vipers were learning exactly what happened to people who touched Stone's family. The war was not over. In fact, it was just beginning. But for now, for this one perfect moment, Ethan was at peace. He did not know what tomorrow would bring. He did not know what challenges lay ahead. He did not know that his life was about to change in ways he could never have imagined. All he knew was that he had made a choice, and that choice had made all the difference. Ethan woke to the sound of shouting. He sat up fast, and his broken ribs punished him for it. Pain shot through his chest like fire. He gasped, clutching his side, trying to remember where he was. The guest house, the Hells Angels compound, Madison, Stone. It all came rushing back. The shouting was coming from outside, angry voices, multiple people talking over each other. Something was wrong. Ethan forced himself out of bed. His whole body protested. Every muscle ached. His face was swollen, and when he touched his cheek, he winced. The beating from last night had left its mark. He limped to the window and looked out. A crowd had gathered in front of the main clubhouse. Bikers were everywhere, their faces hard and tense. Stone was in the center of the group, his phone pressed to his ear. Even from this distance, Ethan could see the fury in his posture. Something had happened. Ethan pulled on his shoes and walked outside. The morning air was cold, but the sun was bright. He made his way toward the crowd, and as he got closer, the conversations became clearer. They hit 3 of our businesses last night. Torched the warehouse on 5th Street, total loss. 2 of our guys are in the hospital, critical condition. The Vipers aren't playing around anymore. Ethan pushed through the crowd until he could see Stone. The president ended his call and turned to face his men. His expression was carved from stone. "Listen up," Stone said. His voice was not loud, but it carried. Everyone went silent. "The Iron Vipers hit us hard last night. While we were bringing Madison home, they attacked 3 of our legitimate businesses. They put 2 of our brothers in the ICU. They burned down a warehouse that employed 40 people. A murmur ran through the crowd, angry, hungry for blood. They think because we were distracted they could take a shot at us. They think they can scare us into backing down." Stone's eyes swept across the crowd. "They're wrong." Someone shouted from the back. "Let's hit them back, tonight." "No," Stone held up his hand. "That's what they want. They want us angry. They want us sloppy. They want us to make mistakes. So what do? Just sit here while they tear us apart? We do this smart." Stone's voice was hard. "We find out where their president is hiding. We find out who's funding them. We find out everything. And then we end this. Permanently." The crowd rumbled with approval. Stone's eyes found Ethan in the crowd. He gestured for him to come forward. Ethan hesitated, then walked toward the president. Every eye in the compound followed him. "This is Ethan Cole," Stone said to the assembled bikers. "Most of you weren't there last night, so let me tell you what happened. 3 Iron Vipers had my daughter tied up in a warehouse. They were going to kill her at sunrise. This kid found her by accident. He could have walked away. He didn't. He cut her loose. He got her out. He took a beating that should have killed him so Madison could call for help. Stone put his hand on Ethan's shoulder. Without him, my daughter would be dead right now. So hear me when I say this. Ethan Cole is under our protection. He's family. Anyone who has a problem with that can come talk to me personally. Nobody moved. Nobody spoke. Good. Stone looked at Ethan. Come with me. We need to talk. Ethan followed Stone into the clubhouse. The building was larger than it looked from outside. They walked down a hallway and into an office at the back. Stone closed the door behind them. Sit down. Ethan sat. Stone went to his desk and poured 2 glasses of whiskey. He handed one to Ethan. I don't really drink. Today you do. Ethan took the glass. The whiskey burned going down, but it also warmed him, settled his nerves. Stone sat down across from him. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. The Vipers are going to come after you, Stone finally said. Ethan's stomach dropped. What? Word travels fast in our world. By now, everyone knows what you did. Everyone knows you're the reason Madison escaped. The Vipers aren't going to let that stand. So what do? You stay here, on the compound, where we can protect you. Ethan thought about his classes, his jobs, the life he had been trying to build before all this happened. For how long? Until this is over. When will that be? Stone's expression was unreadable. I don't know. Could be days, could be weeks, could be longer. Ethan leaned back in his chair. His ribs throbbed. I have school. I have a scholarship. If I miss too many classes, I'll make some calls. Get you excused absences. Medical leave if necessary. You can do that? Stone almost smiled. Kid, I can do a lot of things. Ethan looked at the whiskey in his hand. He took another sip. What about my car? Already taken care of. 2 of my guys brought it here this morning. Stone paused. We also found some things inside. A sleeping bag, canned food, textbooks. Ethan felt his face flush. Yeah, well, nothing to be ashamed of. You were surviving. That's what survivors do. I wasn't surviving. I was barely hanging on. Same thing sometimes. Stone leaned forward. Let me ask you something. What were you planning to do? Before all this happened, what was your plan? Ethan laughed bitterly. Plan? I didn't have a plan. I was just trying to make it to the next day, hoping something would change, hoping things would get better. And now? Now I don't know what anything means anymore. Stone nodded slowly. Fair enough. He finished his whiskey and set the glass down. Here's what I can offer you. Stay here. Let us protect you. When this is over, I'll help you get back on your feet. Apartment, job, whatever you need. Why? You don't know me. I'm nobody. You keep saying that. Stone's voice sharpened. Stop. You're not nobody. You proved that last night. One night doesn't change 19 years of being invisible. You'd be surprised what one night can change. Stone stood up. Get some rest. Eat something. You look like hell. Ethan stood too. His legs were shaky, but they held. Stone. Yeah? Thank you. For everything. Stone looked at him for a long moment. Something passed between them. An understanding. A recognition. Don't thank me yet, Stone said. This is far from over. He left the office. Ethan stood alone, the empty whiskey glass in his hand, trying to process everything that had happened. 2 days ago, he was sleeping in his car. Now he was at the center of a biker war. Life had a strange sense of humor. Ethan spent the rest of the morning in the guest house. Someone brought him breakfast. Eggs, bacon, toast, orange juice. More food than he usually ate in 2 days. He devoured it all. After eating, he took a shower. The hot water felt like heaven on his aching muscles. He stood under the spray for a long time, letting it wash away the blood and mud in fear. When he got out, he found clean clothes laid out on the bed. Jeans, a flannel shirt, a heavy jacket, all in his size. He did not ask how they knew. He was getting dressed when someone knocked on the door. Come in. Madison walked in. She looked better than she had last night. Her hair was clean, pulled back in a ponytail. Her wrists were professionally bandaged now, white gauze wrapped neatly around them. But there were dark circles under her eyes, and she moved carefully, like everything still hurt. "Hey," she said. "Hey." She sat down on the edge of the bed. Ethan leaned against the wall, not sure what to say. "My dad told me about the attacks last night," Madison said. "The Vipers aren't messing around." "Yeah, he mentioned they might come after me too." Madison nodded. "They will. That's how they operate. They'll want revenge for losing me." "Great. Something to look forward to." She almost smiled. "You're taking this pretty well." "I'm too tired to panic." "That's fair." She was quiet for a moment. "I wanted to thank you, properly. I don't think I did that last night." "You did." "No, I mean really thank you, not just the words." She looked at him and her blue eyes were serious. "You risked everything for me. A stranger. Someone you'd never met. Most people wouldn't do that. So people keep telling me. Because it's true." Madison stood up and walked over to him. She was close now, close enough that he could smell her shampoo, something floral, clean. "I've known a lot of people in my life, Ethan. Bikers, businessmen, cops, criminals. I've never met anyone like you." Ethan did not know what to say to that. "My dad sees it too," Madison continued. "That's why he's doing all this. He recognizes something in you, something rare." "What?" "Goodness," she said the word simply. "Real goodness. Not the fake kind that people put on to impress others. The kind that's just there, deep down, that comes out when it matters most." Ethan felt uncomfortable under her gaze. He was not used to people seeing him, really seeing him. "I'm not that special." "Yes, you are. You just don't know it yet." Madison reached out and touched his arm. "Just briefly, just for a second. I'm going to help you see it, if you'll let me." Before Ethan could respond, an explosion rocked the compound. The sound was massive, a thunderclap, a bomb going off. The walls shook, glass shattered somewhere nearby. Madison grabbed Ethan's arm. "Get down!" They hit the floor together. Another explosion. Closer this time. Ethan could hear shouting outside. Gunfire. "What's happening?" "They're attacking." Madison's face was pale. "The Vipers are attacking the compound." Ethan's heart was pounding so hard he could feel it in his throat. "That's impossible. How did they get past the security?" "I don't know, but we need to move. Now." They crawled toward the door. Madison cracked it open and looked outside. Ethan could see smoke rising from somewhere near the main clubhouse. Bikers were running everywhere, some with guns, some helping wounded. "The main building is under attack," Madison said. "We need to get to the safe room. It's underground, behind the clubhouse." "What about your dad?" "He can take care of himself. Right now I need to get you somewhere safe." "Me? I'm not the one they really want." Madison looked at him. Her expression was fierce. "You're exactly who they want. Your leverage. If they get you, they can use you against my father. Against me." Ethan had not thought of that. He was still thinking like a nobody, still thinking like someone who did not matter. But he mattered now. That was the problem. "Okay," he said, "let's go." They burst out of the guest house and ran. Madison knew the compound well, and she led Ethan through a maze of buildings and pathways. All around them, chaos reigned. Gunfire popped in the distance. Men shouted orders. A motorcycle roared past them, nearly running them down. They were halfway to the safe room when someone stepped out of the shadows. Ethan's blood went cold. It was a Viper. Big guy, shaved head, tattoos covering his neck. He was holding a gun, and it was pointed directly at them. "Well, well," the Viper said. "Look who I found. Stone's little princess and her pet hero." Madison stepped in front of Ethan. "Let us go. You don't want to do this." "Actually, I do," the Viper grinned. Our president wants to have a word with both of you. Says you're worth more alive than dead. For now. Ethan's mind was racing. There had to be something he could do, some way out of this. His eyes scanned the area. He saw a metal pipe on the ground, 3 feet away. If he could get to it. Don't even think about it, kid. The Viper had seen him looking. You move, I shoot the girl first. Ethan, don't. Madison's voice was calm. Too calm. Just do what he says. Listen to her, she's smart. The Viper gestured with his gun. Now both of you, hands up. Walk toward me, slowly. They raised their hands. They started walking. Ethan's heart was pounding. His palms were sweating. Every step felt like walking toward death. They were 10 feet away when the gunshot rang out. Ethan flinched, expecting pain, but the pain did not come. The Viper's eyes went wide. He looked down at his chest where a red stain was spreading across his shirt. Then he crumpled to the ground. Behind him stood Stone, a smoking gun in his hand. Dad! Madison ran to her father. He caught her with one arm, his eyes scanning the area for more threats. Are you hurt? No, we're okay. Stone looked at Ethan. You good, kid? Ethan nodded. He could not find words. Good, come with me, both of you. This isn't over. They ran toward the main clubhouse. The sounds of battle were fading now, replaced by shouts of victory. The Hell's Angels were winning. The Viper's surprise attack was failing. Inside the clubhouse, bikers were regrouping. Several were wounded, but none seemed critical. Stone moved through the chaos like a general on a battlefield, giving orders, assessing the situation. How many did we lose? He demanded. None dead, 6 wounded, 2 serious. And the Vipers? 12 dead, 8 captured, the rest ran. Stone nodded grimly. Good, secure the compound, double the patrols. I want to know how they got in. One of the bikers stepped forward. Stone, we found something. You need to see this. They followed the biker to a small room off the main hall. Inside, tied to a chair, was a man Ethan recognized. It was one of the Hell's Angels. A young guy, maybe mid-20s. He was sweating, his eyes darting around the room. We found him opening the back gate, the biker explained. He let the Vipers in. The silence that followed was suffocating. Stone walked slowly toward the chair. His footsteps echoed in the quiet room. He stopped in front of the traitor and looked down at him. Tommy, Stone said. His voice was soft, dangerous. You've been with us for 3 years. I brought you in when you had nothing. I treated you like family. Tommy was shaking. Stone, I can explain. They had my sister. They were going to kill her if I didn't help them. Your sister. Yes, she's 15, Stone. They grabbed her off the street. They sent me pictures. They were going to hurt her. Something flickered in Stone's eyes. For a moment, just a moment, Ethan saw sympathy there. Then it was gone. Why didn't you come to me? Stone asked. Why didn't you tell me what was happening? I was scared. I didn't know what to do. They said if I told anyone, they'd kill her. So instead, you let them into our home. You nearly got my daughter killed. You nearly got Ethan killed. Tommy's eyes went to Ethan. There was desperation in them. I didn't have a choice. You have to understand, it was my sister. Ethan stepped forward. He did not know why. He just did. Stone. The president turned to look at him. His sister is 15. If what he's saying is true, you're defending him? Stone's voice was incredulous. No, but I understand why he did it. Family makes you do desperate things. Stone stared at Ethan for a long moment. The room was dead silent. You have a soft heart, kid, Stone finally said. In my world, that gets you killed. Maybe, but a few hours ago you told me that goodness was rare, that it was worth something. Madison moved to stand beside Ethan. Dad, if the Vipers really have his sister, she's innocent. She's just a kid. Stone looked between his daughter and Ethan, then back at Tommy. Where is she? Your sister. Do you know where they're keeping her? Tommy's eyes widened with hope. Yes, they told me. It's a house on the east side. I can give you the address. Stone considered this for a long moment. Then he turned to his men. Get the address, send a team, find the girl. And Tommy? Someone asked. Stone looked at the traitor in the chair. He stays here, under guard. We'll deal with him after we know if he's telling the truth. He walked out of the room. Madison and Ethan followed. In the hallway, Stone stopped and turned to face them. That was a dangerous move, he said to Ethan, speaking up for a traitor. He's not a traitor. He's a brother who got put in an impossible situation. Same thing in my world. Then maybe your world needs to change. The words hung in the air. Ethan could not believe he had said them. He waited for Stone to explode, to throw him out, to do something violent. Instead, Stone laughed. It was a real laugh, deep and surprised. He shook his head slowly. You've got guts, kid. I'll give you that. Is that good or bad? Haven't decided yet. Stone clapped him on the shoulder. Come on, let's see if Tommy was telling the truth. 2 hours later, the answer came. The team Stone had sent found the house. They found Tommy's sister, a terrified 15-year-old girl who had been tied up in a basement for 3 days. They brought her back to the compound. When Tommy saw her, he broke down completely. He fell to his knees, sobbing, clutching his sister like she might disappear. Thank you, he kept saying. Thank you, thank you. Stone watched the reunion with an unreadable expression. What happens to him now? Ethan asked quietly. That's up to me to decide. What are the options? Stone did not answer for a long moment. In the old days, there was only one option. He betrayed the club. He'd be dead by morning. And now? Now? Stone looked at Ethan. Now I've got a homeless kid with a soft heart making me question everything I thought I knew. Ethan did not know what to say to that. Tommy made a mistake, Stone continued. A big one. People could have died because of him. But he did it to save his sister. That's something I understand. So what will you do? I'm going to give him a choice. He can leave, take his sister, never come back, never contact anyone from the club again, start a new life somewhere far from here. That's merciful. That's practical. A dead man can't learn from his mistakes. A living man might become something better. Stone looked at the siblings, still holding each other on the floor. Besides, someone recently reminded me that goodness is rare. Maybe it's time I started being a little less hard. Ethan felt something warm bloom in his chest. You're a good man, Stone. Don't let that get around. I've got a reputation to maintain. Stone turned and walked away, but Ethan saw the smile he was trying to hide. That night, the compound was quiet. The attack had been repelled. The traitor had been dealt with. Tommy and his sister were given a car, money, and directions to a bus station 3 states away. Ethan sat on the porch of the guest house, looking up at the stars. His ribs still hurt. His face was still swollen. But something had changed. He had spoken up. He had made a difference. He had changed Stone's mind. Maybe he was not nobody after all. Madison walked up and sat down beside him. She did not say anything for a while. They just sat together, looking at the sky. You did something good today, she finally said. I just said what I was thinking. That's the point. Most people are too scared to say what they're thinking. You're not. Maybe I'm just too dumb to know when to shut up. Madison laughed. It was a beautiful sound. Maybe, but I like it. They sat in comfortable silence for a while longer. Ethan, yeah? The war isn't over. The Vipers are going to come back. Harder, meaner. They're not going to stop until they destroy us or we destroy them. I know. It's going to get worse before it gets better. I figured. Madison turned to look at him. Her blue eyes were serious in the starlight. When it does, I need to know you'll be ready. I need to know you won't break. Ethan thought about the question. He thought about the warehouse, the beating, the gun pointed at his head, everything he had already survived. I won't break, he said. Promise me. He looked at her, really looked at her. The girl he had saved, the girl who was becoming something more. I promise. Madison nodded. She reached out and took his hand. Her fingers were warm against his. Then whatever comes next, she said, we'll face it together. They sat there as the night grew darker, hands intertwined, waiting for the storm that both of them knew was coming. And somewhere out in the darkness, in a hidden location miles away, the president of the Iron Vipers was making plans. Plans for revenge, plans for destruction, plans that would test everything Ethan had become. The battle was over. The war was just beginning. 3 days passed without incident. 3 days of waiting. 3 days of watching. 3 days of holding their breath. Ethan knew it could not last. He was sitting in the clubhouse eating breakfast when Stone walked in with a look on his face that made everyone stop talking. They found us, Stone said. The room went cold. The Vipers. They know where we relocated the women and children. They're moving on them now. Chairs scraped against the floor as bikers jumped to their feet. Voices erupted. Questions flew. Stone raised his hand. Silence fell. I just got a call from Razor. He's with the convoy. They're being followed. 12 Viper bikes. Maybe more. How far out are they? 20 minutes from the safe house. Madison pushed through the crowd. Her face was pale. My aunt is with that convoy. My cousins. The kids. I know. Stone's voice was strained. We're moving now. Every man who can ride. Ethan stood up. I'm coming. Stone looked at him. You don't have to do this. Yes, I do. For a moment, Stone just stared at him. Then he nodded. Get him a helmet. He rides with Madison. 5 minutes later, Ethan was on the back of Madison's motorcycle, holding on as they roared out of the compound. The wind whipped against his face. His heart was pounding. His ribs were still tender, but he ignored the pain. 47 Hell's Angels rode in formation. Stone was at the front. Madison was near the middle, with Ethan behind her. The sound of all those engines was like an army on the move. How are you holding up? Madison shouted over the wind. Ask me after. She laughed. It was a tight sound. Nervous. They had been riding for 15 minutes when Stone's voice came through the radio, mounted on Madison's handlebars. Contact ahead. Razor reports the Vipers have boxed in the convoy. They're stopped on Highway 26, near mile marker 43. Madison accelerated. The bike surged forward. Hold formation, Stone ordered. We hit them together. No one breaks off. The highway appeared ahead. Ethan could see vehicles stopped in the road. A bus. Several cars. And surrounding them, a dozen motorcycles with Iron Viper patches. The Vipers heard them coming. Heads turned. Ethan saw fear flash across their faces as they realized what was bearing down on them. 47 Hell's Angels against 12 Vipers. The math was brutal. Stone's voice came over the radio one more time. Take them. The formation split. Bikes peeled off in different directions, surrounding the Vipers, cutting off escape routes. Madison braked hard and pulled to a stop. Stay on the bike, she told Ethan, no matter what happens. Then she was gone, running toward the convoy. Ethan watched the chaos unfold. The Vipers tried to fight, but they were hopelessly outnumbered. Some pulled guns. Shots rang out. A Hell's Angel went down, clutching his shoulder. But for every shot the Vipers fired, 3 came back at them. It was over in less than 2 minutes. The surviving Vipers were on their knees, hands behind their heads. 3 of them were not moving. The rest were bleeding from various wounds. Stone walked among them like death itself. Where is your president? His voice carried across the highway. Where is Marcus? One of the Vipers, a big man with a scar across his nose, spat at Stone's feet. Go to hell. Stone did not react. He just looked at the man for a long moment. Then he nodded to one of his men. The Hell's Angel stepped forward and put his gun to the Viper's knee. Last chance, Stone said. Where is Marcus? The Viper's bravado cracked. Ethan could see the fear bleeding through. I don't know. He moves around. Nobody knows where he sleeps. Then you're useless to me. Stone turned away. The gunshot echoed across the empty highway. The Viper screamed. Ethan flinched. He had known this world was violent. He had known blood would be spilled. But seeing it up close was different. It twisted something in his stomach. Madison ran back toward him. Her face was tight. My aunt and cousins are okay. Shaken up, but okay. Good, that's good. She looked at him closely. You're pale. I'm fine. Ethan. I said I'm fine. He took a breath. I just need a minute. Madison put her hand on his arm. This is what war looks like. It's ugly. It's brutal. People get hurt. I know. Do you? Because if you can't handle this, I can handle it. Ethan forced himself to meet her eyes. I'm not going anywhere. She studied him for a long moment. Then she nodded. Okay, let's get these people to safety. The convoy moved again, this time with 47 Hell's Angels as escort. They made it to the safe house without further incident. The safe house was a ranch outside the city. Women and children poured off the bus, crying, hugging each other. Madison's aunt grabbed her and held on like she would never let go. Ethan stood apart watching. He did not belong to this family. Not really. Stone walked over to him. The president's face was unreadable. You held it together out there. Barely. Barely counts. Stone lit a cigarette. The Vipers are getting desperate. That attack on the convoy was a Hail Mary. They're running out of options. What does that mean for us? It means they're going to do something stupid, something big. Stone blew out smoke. Marcus isn't the type to go down quietly. He'll want to take as many of us with him as he can. So what do? We find him first. End this before he gets the chance. Ethan nodded. It made sense. But something was nagging at him. Something he could not quite put his finger on. Stone, how did the Vipers know about the convoy? How did they know the route? Stone's eyes sharpened. Good question. Another traitor? Maybe. Or maybe they've got eyes on us. Surveillance. Someone feeding them information. Can you find out? I'm working on it. Stone dropped his cigarette and crushed it under his boot. In the meantime, trust no one outside the inner circle. That includes most of the men here. Ethan felt a chill run down his spine. You think there's more than one mole? I think Marcus is smarter than we gave him credit for. And I think this war is far from over. He walked away, leaving Ethan alone with his thoughts. That night, Ethan could not sleep. He lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, replaying the day's events in his mind. The convoy, the attack, the gunshot, the screaming Viper. This was his life now. Violence, blood, war. A week ago, he was worried about failing his biology class. A knock at his door pulled him from his thoughts. She sat down on the edge of his bed. She was wearing sweatpants and a tank top. Her hair was down. She looked younger like this, softer. I keep thinking about the convoy, she said. What would have happened if we hadn't gotten there in time? Don't. I can't help it. Those kids, my cousins, they're just children, Ethan. They didn't ask for any of this. Neither did you. Madison laughed bitterly. I was born into this. It's different. Is it? She did not answer. Ethan sat up, ignoring the protest from his ribs. Madison, why did the Vipers take you? I mean, really, there has to be more to it than territory. She was quiet for a long time. When she finally spoke, her voice was barely above a whisper. My mother. What about her? She was Marcus's sister. Ethan felt the world tilt. What? My mother, the woman who gave birth to me. She was Marcus's younger sister. She fell in love with my father, left the Vipers to be with him. Marcus never forgave her. Where is she now? Dead. She died when I was 6. Car accident. Madison's voice was flat, emotionless. At least, that's what they told me. But I always wondered if Marcus had something to do with it. Jesus. This war isn't just about territory, Ethan. It's about family. It's about betrayal. It's about 20 years of hatred. Does your father know you know this? Yes, we talked about it after my mother died. He told me the truth. Madison looked at him. Her eyes were bright with unshed tears. Marcus has wanted me dead since the day I was born. I'm a reminder of his sister's betrayal, a reminder that she chose my father over her own blood. Ethan reached out and took her hand. She gripped it tightly. That's why they took you, he said. That's why they were going to kill you. Yes, it was never about leverage. Marcus didn't care about territory. He just wanted to hurt my father the same way my mother hurt him. That's sick. That's family. Madison wiped her eyes. In our world, blood doesn't always mean love. Sometimes it means war. They sat in silence for a while. Ethan did not let go of her hand. I'm glad you found me, Madison finally said. In that warehouse, I'm glad it was you. Me too. She looked at him. Something passed between them, something unspoken. Then she leaned in and kissed him. It was soft at first, tentative, but then Ethan kissed her back, and it became something more, something desperate, something real. When they finally pulled apart, both of them were breathing hard. I should go, Madison whispered. You could stay, she smiled. It was sad and beautiful at the same time. Not yet. When this is over, when we're safe, but not yet. She stood up, walked to the door, looked back at him one more time. Good night, Ethan. Good night, Madison. Then she was gone. Ethan lay back down. His heart was racing. His mind was spinning. But for the first time since this all began, he fell asleep with a smile on his face. The next morning, everything changed. Ethan was eating breakfast when one of Stone's lieutenants came running in. His face was white. Stone, we got a problem. Stone looked up from his coffee. What? It's the Garcia warehouse, the one downtown. Someone hit it last night. Vipers? No, that's the thing. The lieutenant swallowed hard. It was cops. DEA. They raided the place, arrested everyone inside, confiscated everything. The room went silent. Stone stood up slowly. His face was carved from granite. How did the DEA know about that warehouse? I don't know. It was supposed to be clean. No drugs, no illegal weapons, nothing. Someone tipped them off. Has to be. Stone looked around the room. His eyes were cold, calculating. Everyone out, now, except the inner circle. Bikers filed out. Ethan started to leave, but Stone's voice stopped him. You stay, kid. Ethan sat back down. His stomach was knotted with tension. When the room was empty except for Stone, Madison, and 3 of Stone's most trusted lieutenants, Stone spoke again. We have a rat, a real one, someone who's feeding information to both the Vipers and the feds. How is that possible? One of the lieutenants asked. Those two shouldn't be working together. Unless they have a common enemy, us. Stone began to pace. Think about it. The convoy route, the warehouse location, both leaked, both attacked. Someone is playing both sides. Who would do that? Someone who wants us gone. Someone who benefits from both the Vipers destroying us and the cops locking us up. Madison spoke up. What about the legitimate businesses? The ones we've been using for money laundering? If those get exposed, we're finished. Stone's voice was grim. Everything we've built, gone. Ethan's mind was racing. He remembered something from days ago. Stone, when you released Tommy, the traitor, where did he go? Stone looked at him. Bus station, like I said. Did anyone follow him? Make sure he actually got on a bus? The room went quiet. One of the lieutenants pulled out his phone, made a call, waited. The conversation was brief. When he hung up, his face was ashen. Tommy never got on a bus. He and his sister were picked up by a black SUV outside the station. No plates. Stone's fist slammed into the table. The impact made everyone jump. That little rat. I showed him mercy, and he sold us out. We don't know that for sure, Ethan said. Maybe he was taken against his will. Or maybe he planned this from the start. Maybe the Vipers never had his sister. Maybe the whole thing was a setup to get inside our heads. Ethan thought about that. It made a horrible kind of sense. If that's true, Madison said slowly, then Tommy knows everything. Our safe houses, our businesses, our supply routes, everything. We need to find him, Stone said, before he sells any more of our secrets. How? Stone looked at his lieutenants. Call everyone you trust. Put the word out. I want Tommy found, alive. I have questions for him. The lieutenants nodded and left to make calls. Stone turned to Ethan. You were the one who spoke up for him. You convinced me to let him go. Ethan felt sick. I know. If this is true, if he played us, that's on both of us. I know that too. Stone studied him. You're not going to fall apart on me? No. Good, because I need you focused. Madison trusts you. That means I trust you. But trust is fragile right now. Everyone is a suspect until proven otherwise. Including me? Stone almost smiled. You were sleeping in your car a week ago. You don't have the connections to be a mole. That's the only reason you're in this room. Fair enough. Stone walked to the window. He stood there for a long moment, looking out at nothing. 20 years, he said quietly. 20 years I've been building this. 20 years of blood and sweat and sacrifice. And it could all come down because I showed mercy to the wrong person. Or because someone manipulated you into showing mercy. Ethan stood up. Don't blame yourself for trying to be better. Blame the people who exploited it. Stone turned to look at him. Something flickered in his eyes. You really believe that? I have to. Otherwise, what's the point? We stop trying to be good because someone might take advantage of it? That's not living. That's just surviving. Sometimes surviving is all that matters. Not to me. Not anymore. Stone was quiet for a long time. Then he nodded slowly. You're something else, kid. I'll give you that. So people keep telling me. The phone rang. Stone answered it. His face changed as he listened. Where? A pause. Are you sure? Another pause. Don't move. We're on our way. He hung up. His eyes found Ethan's. They found Tommy. Where? The old Riverside Motel, edge of the city. Stone grabbed his jacket. He's not alone. Marcus is with him. Ethan felt his blood run cold. The Viper president? In the flesh. Looks like you're having a meeting. It's a trap. Probably. Stone checked his gun. But if there's a chance to end this today, I'm taking it. I'm coming with you. Ethan, I'm coming. This is my fault. I vouched for Tommy. I need to see this through. Stone looked at Madison. She nodded. Fine, Stone said, but you stay in the back. You stay safe. And if things go sideways, you run. Understand? Understood. They mobilized in minutes. 30 Hell's Angels on motorcycles. Ethan rode with Madison again. The engine roared beneath them as they tore through the streets. The Riverside Motel was a dump, run down, abandoned, the perfect place for a secret meeting. Or a trap. Stone held up his hand. The convoy stopped a block away. Scout it, he ordered. 3 bikers peeled off. They disappeared around the corner. 2 minutes passed. 3. Then gunfire. Stone's face hardened. Move! The bikes roared forward. They rounded the corner and found chaos. Vipers everywhere. Not 12, not 20, at least 50. They had been waiting, hidden in the surrounding buildings. It was an ambush. Fall back, Stone shouted. Fall back! But it was too late. The Vipers were coming from all directions. Gunfire erupted. Bikes crashed. Men fell. Madison grabbed Ethan's arm. We have to go, now! They abandoned the bike and ran. Bullets whizzed past them. Ethan's heart was pounding so hard he could barely think. They ducked into an alley, pressed against the wall, tried to catch their breath. "Where's your dad?" Ethan gasped. "I don't know. I lost sight of him." More gunfire, screams, the sounds of war. "We have to help them." "We can't. We're unarmed. We'll just get killed." A figure appeared at the end of the alley. For a moment, Ethan thought it was a Hell's Angel. Then he saw the patches. Iron Viper. The man raised his gun. Ethan moved without thinking. He shoved Madison behind him, waited for the bullet that would end everything. It never came. Another figure appeared behind the Viper. A flash of metal. The Viper crumpled. Tommy stood there, a bloody knife in his hand. "Run," he said. "Both of you, get out of here." Ethan stared at him. "Tommy? What?" "I said run." Tommy's eyes were wild, desperate. "I never wanted any of this. They forced me. They threatened to kill my sister for real this time. I've been trying to feed them bad information, slow them down, but Marcus figured it out. He's going to kill her if I don't." A gunshot rang out. Tommy's eyes went wide. He looked down at the red stain spreading across his chest. He fell. Behind him stood Marcus, the Iron Viper president, a smoking gun in his hand. "Well, well," Marcus said. His voice was smooth, calm, like he was discussing the weather. "Look what we have here. Stone's precious daughter, and her little hero." Madison grabbed Ethan's hand. There was nowhere to run. They were trapped. Marcus walked toward them slowly. He was not a big man, average height, average build, but his eyes were the coldest things Ethan had ever seen. "You know what I find fascinating?" Marcus said. "I've been trying to destroy Stone for 20 years. 20 years. And in the end, it wasn't strategy or strength that brought him to his knees. It was mercy." "Let us go," Madison said. Her voice was steady, stronger than Ethan expected. "This is between you and my father." "Let you go?" Marcus laughed. "Why would I do that? You're the prize, sweetheart. You've always been the prize. Killing you is the one thing that will truly break him. He'll never stop hunting you." "He won't be alive long enough to hunt anyone." Marcus raised his gun. "Say goodbye, Madison." Ethan stepped in front of her. "No." Marcus paused, looked at him with something like curiosity. "The hero again. You know, I've heard about you. The homeless kid who ruined everything, who saved the girl, who turned Stone soft. If you're going to kill someone, kill me. Let her go." How noble, how stupid. Marcus pressed the gun to Ethan's forehead. "You first, then." Ethan closed his eyes. The gunshot was deafening. But Ethan did not fall. He opened his eyes. Marcus was staggering backward, clutching his shoulder. Blood poured between his fingers. Stone stood at the end of the alley, his gun smoking. "Get away from my daughter!" Marcus snarled. He tried to raise his gun, but Stone fired again. This time Marcus went down. He did not get back up. Hell's Angels poured into the alley. The sounds of battle were fading. The ambush had been broken. Stone walked past Marcus's body without looking at it. He grabbed Madison and pulled her into a fierce hug. "Are you okay? Are you hurt?" "I'm fine. Dad, I'm fine." Stone looked at Ethan. His eyes were wet. "You stepped in front of a gun for her." "Yeah." "Why?" Ethan thought about the question, thought about everything that had led him to this moment. "Because that's who I am now." Stone stared at him for a long moment. Then he did something Ethan never expected. He pulled Ethan into the hug too. "Thank you," Stone whispered. "Thank you for being who you are." They stood there, the three of them, surrounded by blood and chaos and the aftermath of war. But somehow, in that moment, none of it mattered. They were alive, they were together, and the war was finally over. Marcus was not dead. The bullet had torn through his shoulder, not his heart. Stone's aim had been precise, deliberate. He wanted Marcus alive. Ethan watched as two Hell's Angels dragged the Viper president out of the alley. Marcus was cursing, spitting, threatening revenge. But his voice was weak. His power was gone. 20 years of hatred, 20 years of war, and it ended in a dirty alley behind a rundown motel. Stone stood over Tommy's body, the young man who had betrayed them, the young man who had tried to make it right in the end. Blood pooled beneath him, dark and still. "He saved us," Ethan said quietly. "At the end, he tried to save us." Stone nodded slowly. "I know. What happens to his sister?" "We'll find her. We'll make sure she's safe." Stone's voice was heavy. "That's the least we can do." Madison walked over to stand beside Ethan. She slipped her hand into his. He held on tight. "It's over," she said. "It's really over." "Not yet." Stone turned to face them. "There's still work to do. The Vipers are scattered, but they're not finished. We need to make sure they never come back." "What are you going to do with Marcus?" Stone's expression hardened. "That's club business." Ethan understood. Some things were better left unasked. The next few hours were chaos. Wounded needed treatment. Dead needed to be counted. The surviving Vipers needed to be dealt with. Ethan stayed close to Madison, helping where he could, staying out of the way when he could not. By the time they returned to the compound, the sun was setting. Orange and gold painted the sky. It should have been beautiful, but Ethan was too exhausted to notice. He collapsed onto the bed in the guest house. Every muscle in his body ached. His ribs were screaming. His head was pounding. Madison sat down beside him. "You should sleep," she said. "I don't think I can. Every time I close my eyes, I see Tommy falling." "That wasn't your fault." "Wasn't it?" Ethan stared at the ceiling. "I'm the one who convinced your father to let him go. If I hadn't spoken up, then my father would have killed him, and we never would have known about the ambush. Tommy gave us bad intel on purpose. He was trying to protect us. And he died for it." "Yes, he did." Madison lay down beside him. "That was his choice, not yours." They were quiet for a while. Ethan could hear the sounds of the compound outside. Voices, engines, the normal rhythm of life resuming after war. "What happens now?" he asked. "Now we rebuild. The Vipers did a lot of damage. It'll take time to recover." "And me? What happens to me?" Madison propped herself up on her elbow. She looked at him with those blue eyes that had haunted him since the warehouse. "What do you want to happen?" Ethan thought about the question. A week ago, the answer would have been simple. He wanted to survive. He wanted to finish school. He wanted to stop being invisible. Now everything was different. "I don't know," he admitted. "I don't know who I am anymore. You're Ethan Cole. You're the guy who saved my life. You're the guy who stood in front of a gun for me. You're the guy my father respects more than men he's known for decades." "That's not an identity. That's just things I did." "Isn't that all identity is? The sum of what we do?" Madison reached out and touched his face. "You're a good person, Ethan. Maybe the best person I've ever met. That's who you are." Ethan turned to look at her. She was so close, so real, so alive. "I don't know how to do this," he said. "Any of this. The club, the danger, us. Neither do I, but we'll figure it out together." She kissed him, soft and gentle and full of promise. When she pulled back, Ethan was smiling. It felt strange on his face, unfamiliar. "Together," he repeated. "I like the sound of that." They fell asleep holding each other. For the first time and longer than Ethan could remember, the nightmares did not come. 3 days later, Stone called a meeting. Every Hell's Angel in the Portland chapter gathered in the main hall. 197 men, minus those lost in the war. Ethan stood at the back, feeling out of place. He was not a member. He was not a biker. He was just a kid who had stumbled into something bigger than himself. Stone stood at the front. He looked older than he had a week ago. The war had taken its toll. "Brothers," he began, "we've been through hell. We've lost good men. We've bled for this club. But we won." A murmur of approval ran through the crowd. "The Iron Vipers are finished. Marcus is in custody, federal custody. He'll be spending the rest of his life in a cell. Ethan had not known that. He felt something loosen in his chest. But I didn't call you here to celebrate, Stone continued. I called you here because something happened during this war. Something that changed me. The room went quiet. Most of you know the story by now. A homeless kid found my daughter in a warehouse. He cut her loose. He got her out. He took a beating that should have killed him. And when they had a gun to his head, when death was staring him in the face, he didn't run. He stood his ground. Stone's eyes found Ethan in the crowd. That kid showed me something. He showed me that courage isn't about being strong. It's about doing the right thing when you have every reason not to. It's about standing up when the whole world tells you to stay down. He gestured for Ethan to come forward. Ethan's legs felt like they were made of lead. He walked through the crowd feeling every eye on him. When he reached the front, Stone put a hand on his shoulder. This man saved my daughter's life. This man risked everything for a stranger. This man looked at our world, with all its violence and danger, and he chose to be better than it. Stone turned to face Ethan directly. I know you don't want to be a Hell's Angel. I know this life isn't for you. But I want you to know something. Every man in this room owes you a debt, and we pay our debts. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small leather case. He opened it to reveal a silver ring. It was simple, but heavy, engraved with the Hell's Angel's skull and wings. This is a promise ring. It doesn't make you a member, but it marks you as protected. As family, anyone who wears this ring is untouchable. They have the full backing of this club, now and forever. Stone held out the ring. Ethan stared at it. His throat was tight. His eyes were burning. I don't know what to say. Say you'll accept it. Ethan reached out and took the ring. It was heavier than it looked. Solid. Real. I accept. The room erupted in cheers. Bikers pounded their fists on tables. Voices roared approval. The noise was deafening. Ethan slipped the ring onto his finger. It fit perfectly. Madison pushed through the crowd and threw her arms around him. She was crying, laughing, both at the same time. You're one of us now, she said. For real. I guess I am. Stone watched them with something like pride in his eyes. The celebration lasted for hours. Food, drinks, stories. Bikers Ethan had never spoken to came up to shake his hand, to thank him, to welcome him to the family. It was overwhelming. It was terrifying. It was the best night of his life. Around midnight, Ethan slipped away from the party. He needed air, space, time to think. He walked to the edge of the compound and stood looking out at the darkness. The stars were bright overhead. The air was cold and clean. Footsteps behind him. He knew who it was without turning around. You okay, kid? Stone came to stand beside him. Yeah, just a lot to process. I imagine so. A week ago, you were sleeping in your car. Now you're family to 197 bikers. Life's funny that way. Stone was quiet for a moment. When he spoke again, his voice was different, softer. Can I tell you something? Something I've never told anyone? Ethan looked at him. Sure. When Madison was taken, when I got that first phone call, I thought I was going to die. Not physically, but inside. I thought the part of me that could feel anything was going to just shut off. He paused. His jaw worked. I've done terrible things in my life, Ethan. Things I'm not proud of. Things that keep me up at night. But the one thing I always told myself was that I did it for my family. For Madison. Everything was for her. She knows that. Does she? Sometimes I wonder. Stone shook his head. When I saw her in that gas station parking lot, when I saw she was alive, I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Hope. Real hope. She's strong, stronger than she knows. She gets that from her mother. Stone's voice caught. Her mother was the strongest person I ever knew. When she died, I thought I'd never feel anything again. I built walls so high no one could get through. But Madison got through. Madison was already inside the walls. She was born there. Stone turned to look at Ethan. But you got through from the outside. I don't know how, I don't know why, but you did. Ethan did not know what to say. I've spent 20 years surrounded by loyal men, Stone continued. Men who would die for me, men who would kill for me, but none of them ever made me question who I was. None of them ever made me want to be better. I didn't do anything special. That's where you're wrong. You did the most special thing of all. You showed me that goodness still exists, that people can still choose to do the right thing for no reason other than it's right. Stone reached out and gripped Ethan's shoulder. I'm not a religious man. I don't believe in fate or destiny or any of that, but I believe you were supposed to find that warehouse. I believe you were supposed to find Madison. I believe you were put in our lives for a reason. What reason? To remind us what we're fighting for. Not territory, not money, not power. We're fighting for each other, for family, for the people who matter. Ethan felt tears sliding down his cheeks. He did not try to stop them. I never had a family, he said. His voice cracked. Not a real one. Foster homes, group homes. People who looked at me and saw a paycheck. People who counted down the days until I aged out. I know. I used to dream about having parents, people who would notice when I was gone, people who would care if I lived or died. I used to pray for it every night until I stopped believing anyone was listening. Stone pulled him into a hug. It was fierce and strong and real. Someone was listening, Stone said. Maybe not the way you expected, but someone heard you. Ethan held on. He sobbed into Stone's shoulder. All the years of loneliness, all the years of invisibility, all the years of wondering if he mattered to anyone, it came pouring out of him, wave after wave of grief and relief and overwhelming gratitude. When he finally pulled back, Stone's eyes were wet too. You matter, Ethan. You hear me? You matter. You're not invisible. You're not worthless. You're not nothing. You're family now. And family doesn't leave family behind. Ethan wiped his eyes. Thank you for everything. Don't thank me. You earned this, every bit of it. They stood in silence for a while, looking at the stars. What are you going to do now? Stone asked. With your life? Ethan thought about the question. For the first time, the answer did not seem impossible. I'm going to finish school, get my degree. Good, what else? I don't know. Maybe something where I can help people. Kids like me. Kids who fell through the cracks. Stone nodded slowly. That's a good goal. A worthy goal. What about you? What happens to the club now? We rebuild. We adapt. The world's changing. The old ways don't work like they used to. Maybe it's time to change with it. What does that mean? It means less blood, more business, legitimate operations, things my daughter can be proud of. Stone smiled slightly. Things you can be proud of. You'd do that? Change everything? For Madison? For you? For a future worth having? Stone looked at the stars. Yeah, I'd do that. The next morning, Ethan woke up in the guest house. Sunlight streamed through the window. For a moment, he forgot where he was. Then he felt the weight of the ring on his finger, and everything came back. He got up, showered, put on clean clothes. The face in the mirror looked different than it had a week ago, less gaunt, less desperate, more alive. He walked outside. The compound was bustling with activity. Bikers worked on motorcycles. People moved in and out of buildings. Life was returning to normal. Madison was waiting for him by the main hall. Morning, sleepyhead. Morning, he kissed her cheek. How long was I out? 14 hours. You needed it. I feel like a new person. You look like one too. She took his hand. Come on, breakfast. Then my dad wants to talk to you. They ate together. Eggs, bacon, coffee, real food. Ethan still was not used to having 3 meals a day. After breakfast, they walked to Stone's office. The president was behind his desk, papers spread out in front of him. Ethan, sit down. Ethan sat. Madison stood beside him. I've been making some calls, Stone said, about your situation. My situation? School, housing, work, all of it. Ethan's stomach tightened. Okay. First, your scholarship. I talked to the university. You're on medical leave for the rest of the semester. No penalty. Your grades are frozen. You can pick up where you left off whenever you're ready. How did you manage that? I know people. Moving on. Stone shuffled some papers. Housing. There's an apartment near campus. 2-bedroom. Already furnished. Rent is covered for 2 years. Ethan's mouth fell open. What? You need a place to live. Now you have one. I can't accept that. It's too much. It's not enough, but it's a start. Stone held up a hand to stop Ethan's protests. This isn't charity. This is an investment. I'm investing in your future because I believe you're going to do great things. Madison squeezed Ethan's shoulder. There's more, Stone said. I own a motorcycle repair shop downtown. Legitimate business. Good customers. I need someone to work the front desk, handle paperwork, deal with customers. Flexible hours so you can work around your class schedule. Interested? Ethan could not believe what he was hearing. Are you serious? Do I look like I'm joking? No, you never look like you're joking. Stone almost smiled. Smart kid. The job pays $15 an hour to start. More once you learn the business. Benefits, health insurance, all of it. Ethan looked at Madison. She was beaming. Why? He asked Stone. Why are you doing all this? I told you, we pay our debts. This is more than paying a debt. This is changing my entire life. Stone leaned back in his chair. You know what I see when I look at you? I see a kid who had every excuse to be a failure, every excuse to give up, every excuse to become hard and bitter and broken. But you didn't. You stayed soft. You stayed good. You kept hoping for something better even when there was no reason to hope. He stood up and walked around the desk. That's rare. That's precious. And I'll be damned if I'm going to let the world crush it out of you. So yeah, I'm giving you an apartment and a job and a chance. Because you deserve it. Because you've earned it. And because I want to see what you become when someone finally believes in you. Ethan stood up. His legs were shaking. His eyes were wet again. I don't know how to thank you. Don't thank me. Just don't waste it. Make something of yourself. Prove me right. I will. I promise. Stone extended his hand. Ethan took it. The handshake was firm and warm and real. Welcome to the family, Ethan Cole. 1 month later, Ethan moved into his new apartment. It was small but clean. A bedroom, a living room, a kitchen with actual appliances that worked, a bathroom with hot water that lasted longer than 5 minutes. It was paradise. Madison helped him unpack. There was not much to unpack. His entire life fit into 2 boxes and a garbage bag. We need to get you some furniture, she said, and clothes, and actual food. I have food. Ramen and peanut butter don't count. They count to me. She threw a pillow at him. He caught it and threw it back. They ended up laughing on the floor, tangled together. I'm happy, Ethan said suddenly. Madison looked at him. Yeah? Yeah, I don't think I've ever said that before. I don't think I've ever felt it before. But I'm happy. She kissed him, long and deep. I'm happy too, she said. You make me happy. Even with all the danger, all the chaos, because of it, you showed me that life doesn't have to be just about survival. It can be about more. It can be about love. Ethan stroked her hair. I love you. I know it's fast. I know it's crazy, but I love you. Madison smiled. I love you too. I've loved you since you cut those zip ties off my wrists. Really? Really. I looked at you and I thought, this is the kind of person I want to be. This is the kind of person I want to be with. They lay there for a while holding each other. The afternoon sun painted patterns on the ceiling. What now? Madison asked. Now I go to class tomorrow. I start work on Monday. I figure out how to be a normal person. Normal is overrated, says the biker princess. She laughed. I prefer motorcycle royalty. Ethan's phone buzzed. He looked at it, a text from Stone. Dinner tonight, 7 o'clock. Don't be late and wear something nice. We're celebrating. Celebrating what? Madison asked, reading over his shoulder. I don't know, but with your father it could be anything. That evening, they drove to a restaurant downtown. Not a biker bar, not a clubhouse. A real restaurant with white tablecloths and waiters in suits. Stone was waiting at a private table in the back. He was wearing a sport coat. Ethan had never seen him out of leather before. You clean up well, Stone said. So do you. They ordered food, good food, the kind of food Ethan had only seen in movies. I have news, Stone said after the appetizers arrived. The Iron Vipers are officially disbanded. Marcus rolled on everyone. Names, operations, everything. The feds are making arrests all over the state. That's good, right? That's very good. It means the war is over. For real this time. No more looking over our shoulders. Madison raised her glass. To peace. To peace, Stone and Ethan echoed. They drank. There's more, Stone said. I've been doing some thinking about the club, about the future. What kind of thinking? The kind that keeps me up at night. Stone set when his glass. I'm not getting any younger. The world is changing. The club needs to change with it. What are you saying? I'm saying that I'm stepping back, not retiring, but delegating, letting younger men take the lead. Stone looked at Madison. I want to spend more time with my daughter, watch her build a life, maybe spoil some grandkids someday. Madison rolled her eyes. Dad, I'm 20. I'm just planning ahead. Ethan laughed. It still felt strange to laugh so freely. There's one more thing, Stone said. He reached into his jacket and pulled out an envelope. He slid it across the table to Ethan. What's this? Open it. Ethan opened the envelope. Inside was a check. He looked at the amount and his heart stopped. Stone, this is $50,000. Seed money for your future. Whatever you want to do with your life, that'll help you get started. I can't accept this. You can and you will. Stone's voice was firm. Consider it an investment. You want to help kids like you? Start a foundation. Build a program. Make a difference. That money will get you started. Ethan's hands were shaking. He looked at Madison. She was smiling. Did you know about this? I might have mentioned a few ideas to my father. You two planned this whole thing. We prefer to call it strategic coordination. Ethan looked at the check again. $50,000. More money than he had ever seen in his life. More money than he had ever imagined having. And it was his, to help kids like him, to make a difference. I don't know what to say. Say you'll make us proud, Stone said. Say you'll take this chance and run with it. Say you'll become the person you were always meant to be. Ethan looked at them, the man who had become a father to him, the woman who had become his love, the family he never thought he would have. I'll make you proud, he said. I promise. Stone nodded. I know you will. They finished dinner. They talked and laughed and planned for the future. For the first time in his life, Ethan felt like the future was something to look forward to instead of something to survive. After dinner, Madison drove Ethan back to his apartment. They stood outside his door, not wanting the night to end. Thank you, Ethan said, for everything, for believing in me when I didn't believe in myself. You made it easy. Madison took his hands. You're the best thing that ever happened to me, Ethan Cole. I hope you know that. You're the best thing that ever happened to me, too. They kissed under the streetlight, long and slow and full of promise. I should go, Madison said finally. Early morning tomorrow. Yeah, me too. Dinner this weekend? It's a date. She got in her car, waved, drove away. Ethan watched until her taillights disappeared around the corner. Then he went inside. He sat down on his couch. His couch. In his apartment, with his job waiting for him on Monday, with his classes waiting for him tomorrow, with his future spread out before him like a road with no end. He pulled the ring from his finger and looked at it. The silver skull and wings gleamed in the lamplight. 1 week ago, he was nobody, invisible, worthless, sleeping in a broken car with holes in his shoes and hunger in his stomach. Now he was somebody. He was family. He was loved. All because he made one choice, one moment, one decision to help a stranger instead of walking away. Ethan put the ring back on his finger. He leaned back on the couch and closed his eyes. He thought about the warehouse, the zip ties, the blood, the terror in Madison's eyes. He thought about the choice he made. He thought about who he was before and who he was now. The world had told him he was nothing. The system had thrown him away. Everyone had looked right through him like he did not exist. But he had decided to exist anyway. He had decided to matter. He had decided to be someone worth being. And in the end, that was all it took. One choice, one moment, one person deciding to be better than the world expected. Ethan opened his eyes. The apartment was quiet. The night was peaceful. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new opportunities, new chances to grow. He was ready for all of it, because he was no longer the invisible boy sleeping in his car. He was Ethan Cole. He was family. He was loved. And no matter what came next, no matter what storms gathered on the horizon, no matter what battles still waited to be fought, he knew one thing for certain: he would never be invisible again. The homeless teenager who had nothing had become someone worth bowing to, not because of money or power or strength, because of courage, because of kindness, because of the simple, radical choice to be good when being good was the hardest thing in the world. And that choice had changed everything. That choice had given him a family. That choice had given him love. That choice had given him a life worth living. In the end, Ethan Cole learned the most important lesson of all. You can have nothing and still become everything. You just have to be brave enough to try.